All right, guys, welcome back to the last Back to Basic episode. That's going to be just me rambling on about instructions, and then after that it will be down to trading. So let's make this one a little quicker and let's get into it. How about that?
How about that?
Last time, we went over your trading plan. Basically what you needed to... the things that you needed to fill out. We answered those questions roughly. I'm going to send you the documents. You're actually going to write in a little description of each one. You're going to add some pictures and make it pretty and all that of the charts that you like to look at and all of this. Again, very important. Old management saying that's what gets measured gets managed, right? So you have to do these things. Now we're going to talk about your trading checklist. So this is actually going to go on your computer right alongside trade ideas. So as you're scanning, you have this as a guide to say, what am I interested in, right? What's going on? So I added the share size math at the top there.
Great.
So that you can, when
so I get to know what, because otherwise I'm really bad at maths.
Well, that's fine. But here it is, right? So again, this is important, especially for new traders. I very much recommend, if you have to buy another monitor just for this, do it, where you have this up at all times while you're trading. You have, this is what I'm going to do to make sure that every single trade you take has this kind of a thought process put in, right? So again, your trading, your size math is that we talked about what your risk would be in the last video. It's going to be 1% of your account, which is going to start out at $100,000. You're going to reevaluate that every week. So if you make 10 grand, right, it would be
I'm up on my paper trades.
Yeah, it's all getting wiped. Brand new. Because if you don't have a plan, you're gambling, right? I say it all the time and it pisses people off. You don't have a trading plan, it's just sheer gamble. So I liked that you were playing with it to mess around with things, but we got a third person. We got a third visitor here. But yeah, everything up until this point was play fun time, right? Now you have a plan, you have a time that you're going to work, you have a time you are going to exit, you have a time you're going to enter, you have this checklist to go through. So I'm going to wipe it, and I'm going to go into the back end and just clear out everything you did, and we'll start again at 100,000 so that you know, and then you evaluate. So if you make $20,000, then your new risk will be $1,200 a trade, right? That R multiple trading that is so important that we talked about before. Again, if you guys haven't seen, there's a whole playlist on both of our channels. Go check it out. There's from what is a stock all the way to where we are now, 40 plus episodes, free trading course, which I think is amazing. The boxes below, these are going to be your step-by-step for everything that you scan, right? So step one is, are you trading with the trend of the stock, right? Is the trend moving higher? And you're moving higher with it. So we define trend as, and I'll show you, put a moving average on your chart. If it's pointing up, the price is below it, it's an uptrend, right? But you remember the concept of higher highs and higher lows, an uptrend, lower highs, lower lows, downtrend. So are you trading with the trend of the stock? If yes, you tick. Okay, I can keep going. What's the longer term technical pattern, right? So for you, it just may be support and resistance. We'll count that as technical pattern. Right? Is it a wedge or a triangle or any of these technical patterns? If you have one that you like and it makes sense, then you tick. If there's no technical pattern to speak of, you kill the trade, right? So you see how at any time, if it doesn't fill one of these, you move on to the next symbol.
Okay.
Right? And eventually it will just become in your head. You won't need this. And I don't have one of these anymore, but it's in here, right? So then the next, what's the short-term candlestick pattern, right? And, it may not be important to you, but I think this is important to most people. And again, this is how I look at all my stocks, right? This is my trading checklist from my head. So for example, you have a stock that's moving up, and then maybe it's pulling back to prior resistance that we think now maybe support, right? So then it ticked. I'm trading with the trend because I'm looking to buy it as it pulled back to support. It had a long-term technical pattern, which is it broke out of resistance. Now I think it's going to act as support. I move on to the next one. A candlestick pattern, right? You remember your hammer, your doji, your engulfing candles. If not, we'll go over that again. It's no big deal. But it has some sort of, for me anyway, some sort of candlestick pattern at that area, right? And then tick. And if not, ignore it. Again, some people are not candlestick people, so they just skip this step entirely. I like to use it because that makes me more confident that the short-term momentum is on my side as well. The technical pattern and the trend give me the long-term picture, and the candlestick pattern gives me the short-term. Next is the volume. And I'll specify all these out with exact numbers for you, but is there enough volume to trade? If the stock does 1,000 shares a day, there's not enough volume for you to trade. Remember, we went over all this stuff, right? You want, say 100,000 or so. Earnings date. So on your trade ideas scan, you'll have what your earnings date is. And if that earnings date is between the Monday and Friday, you won't trade it, right? So that's another one you tick. What industry is it in? So for example, would it make sense to short a pharmaceutical company working on a COVID drug right now?
No, you said that doesn't happen in our household.
Right. Did I?
Yeah.
Is that strong? Well, yeah. Right. So that's just, again, it's a check mark, right? If you want to short Apple, right? Again, there's nothing Apple's going to come out with tomorrow that's going to double the price of the stock, right? They come out with a new computer, maybe it goes up 5-10%. It's a bad trade. Who cares? So you check the industry, future known news. So you'll just scroll through the news tab, and if they say, oh, there's a shareholders meeting, or they're presenting at this thing or something in the future, again, if nothing, check. So then your entry price, where are you going to want to get in? So you just jot down that number. I want to get in at $10. And then what's your stop price going to be? Well, if my stop price is $9, then I know above how to do my share size math, right? So you'll plug in the share size that you want to take. And then after that, it's just exit management. So exit management for you will be close on Friday right now. In the future will be I'm going to, trail a stop behind a moving average or something like that. So that's it. So you can see how, me describing it takes a long time, but you could see how eventually once this is all in your brain, it's just, you look at it and you say, check this. Okay, it's fine, great, take the trade. If not, don't take the trade.
Right.
So eventually going through this list when you don't have to do it manually will take like 2 seconds. So what will happen is I'm going to set you up with a scan that's going to have, and we'll play around until we get scans that you like, that has both bullish and bearish candidates. You'll go through this list as you scan through it until you find 2 long ideas that you like and 2 short ideas that you like. Risking, so your total risk for the week will be 4K. Again, big account. In the real world, when I set you up with a 10 account, your total risk, your 10K account, your total risk for the week will be $400. You're hoping that on a good week, you're making $400 to $800 to $1,200. That gets put into the account. You recalculate the share size. You go back at it next week, right? You recalculate the share size. You go back on that next week. Eventually, you get the account to, 100,000 on your own, even if it takes years, by doing it. And then all of a sudden, now on a good week, you're making, 5 to 8K in a week. That's when we talked about before, full cam, when we talked about this before, we talked about how, you always want to start with that account growth idea. And then you want to go from that account growth to maybe a secondary income. And then once you're confident, once you start making more from that income, you go to your live account. Right? And again, from that account growth thing to the secondary income could take years. But the point is we're going to document that journey. And we're going to sit down. So going forward, guys, what the next episode is going to be is what she picked this week, what happened, right? What you got. You're not going to get filled on all of them, right? You're going to put out your orders. Some of them you're going to get filled. Some of them you won't.
I'll be putting it up on Twitter as well, so
Yep.
follow along there.
Yep. Put them out on Twitter, and you're going to say, we're going to sit down. You're going to say, we're going to go through each of the 4 setups. And I'm going to say, this is what I liked about it. This is what I think you should work on. And you're going to give your own feedback of, I really like this setup. I want to find more of this. This one looked kind of sloppy. I didn't really like the look of this one. And this is how you grow as a trader, is just this review. And then, again, after we do that video, they're hopefully going to be under 10-minute little videos. And then you do your scanning for next week and rinse and repeat. And again, now you have a plan. So does it feel, and this is just offside, but I think it's going to be important, because you were expressing to me that you were kind of overwhelmed a bit with all of the information.
Yeah.
But do you see how as soon as you develop a concrete plan and a checklist, how it kind of zips it all up? Like, there were so many things that I taught you there that you're using, like earnings dates, volumes, and all this kind of stuff. But you don't need to know all of the specifics about it, right? You don't need to know every pattern on Earth. You don't need to know every candlestick pattern, right?
Right.
You needed to have a basic understanding of these, but now all you need is what's on this checklist, right? As long as it meets this checklist criteria, you're in. And then if not, you're out. And then the goal is, we're going to cap your risk, but not let your return run. And even if you're right 30 to 40% of the time, over the long run, you're going to make money, right? Make sense?
I think so.
Nothing to add?
No.
Okay. So, again, next week, we'll talk about whatever Jess picked this week.
All winners. All winners all the time.
And again, if we miss a week or something, it's life. It's going to be the way it happens. But we're going to try to come in here for 10 minutes once a week, summarize what happened, move on to the next week, and maybe some live streaming here and there. People seem to like the live stream, but we'll chat about that later. All right. So that is it, and I will talk to you guys soon.